Hello, I'm Dr. Dwan Milam-Reed with the Mind, Body, and Soul Experience coming to you from Houston, Texas. Today we're going to talk about TV and its effects on the family and what do we do about television. I'm a psychotherapist. I specialize in individual and couple therapy, anxiety, depression, and EMDR therapy. And about half of what I do is couple therapy. I work with couples on creating better communication and intimacy. I want to mention to you that this video is for informational purposes only. If you're in need of additional support, please contact a licensed therapist in your area. I'd love to hear from you all about your experiences and your family with television. Has television been good for you, or has it been a bad thing for you? Please share your comments below, and also any other tips that you have on family communication. And many of the couples I work with, they're having difficulties with communication and with conflict. When they come to see me, they want to grow in these areas. And we talk about television and their usage of television. An interesting fact is that the average American, according to the latest Nielsen Study, the average American watches 6 hours of television per day. Wow, incredible. That's a lot of TV. And on the average, 12% of Americans are unhappy with their amount of television usage. What we know about TV is that TV can be addictive. It can be very addictive. And it also has a lot of negative side effects such as obesity, ADHD, learning difficulties, poor grades, health issues, aggression, body image issues, low self-esteem, lack of creativity. There are a lot of things, bad things that go along with watching TV. You know, it does have some benefits as well, but it does also have a lot of negative issues. When couples are having struggles in their marriages or in their partnerships, I'll ask them, you know, how many hours are you watching of television per day? How much time are you spending together? And the answer many times is that they're not spending much time together. They're spending a lot of time watching television. And when I ask them why, how did that happen? Most people really don't know why. And then when I ask, what about their families of origin? Did their parents watch a lot of TV? And usually the answer is yes. If a person watches a lot of television, many times their parents also watched a lot of television. So they grew up in homes seeing people watch TV. Watching television is a great way to become disconnected from your family. When we're sitting in front of a tube, we're not spending time looking at one another and talking to one another and learning about each other's day and each other's hopes and struggles and dreams and friends. We're just not spending that amount of time. We're not spending that amount of time being creative and giving back to the world and growing in our own personal skills. It's just not happening when we're spending a lot of time watching television. Television also creates a lot of discontent. People that watch television tend to be more depressed, and that's true even for our relationships. When you watch TV, you see these beautiful people who have these wonderful relationships, these wonderful, perfect relationships, and the world is just not that way. As we watch these images on the screen, we tend to compare our spouses and our partners to these people. We think to ourselves, wow, you don't have those kind of muscles, and you don't make that kind of money, and you don't drive that kind of car. This really sucks, But real life is that we're dealing with real people. We're married, or we're in a partnership, a coupleship with somebody who's real, who has faults, and we don't see that when we watch TV. We don't see real life, so it can make us to grow very discontent and to look at the negatives in our partner, our spouse, and to not see all the beautiful, wonderful qualities in them. So television does that. It disconnects us. Many times you have parents in one room watching TV and you got the kids in another room watching television. And they all have their different shows, and sometimes the husband has a different show than the wife, and they're all in 3 separate rooms or 4 separate rooms of the house, and just not spending time together. If you don't know who your kids' friends are, what assignments they had that day, what their teachers said to them that day, any special presentations they had, what they had for lunch that day, what they're happy about, what they're sad about. If we don't know these things about the people in our lives, we're really missing out. And if we don't know these things because we're watching television so much, that's pretty sad. So I want to encourage you to just look at your life, to examine your hours of TV usage. Maybe you don't watch too much TV, maybe you do, but to really look at that, because it's very easy to get into this habit and not realize how much time we're really spending watching television. So you might even want to keep a log of how much time you're watching TV. One of the things I hear from families when I talk about television is they say, well, we're all together watching TV. We watch our shows together. We'll have a movie night on Friday night and we're all sitting there watching TV. Well, that's wonderful. And I'm so glad that you're together and you know where everyone is and everyone is safe. But when we're watching TV, we're not talking to one another. We're not interacting with one another. We're not on a higher level of intimacy with one another and really learning and getting to know one another better. So I encourage you to spend that undivided attention time together with your family. People say, well, what? I can't imagine not spending time watching television. What did people do before there was television, or before there were all these stations and channels and cable TV shows? Well, the things that they did, they spent time in nature. They spent time baking together and making things together and going for walks and visiting people and helping people and spending time with pets and going places and taking drives, with the windows down and, breathing the fresh air. They spent a lot of time together that we don't spend together as a family. Years ago, my husband and I, we looked up and we realized that our family had become very disconnected. The kids were young back then. One was late elementary, the other was middle school. We realized we really didn't know each other anymore. And we decided to throw away the television, or the TV. I think we had 2 TVs. We decided to just throw the things out. And it took a lot of courage to do that. Remember when the kids came home from school and the TVs had disappeared, and they were like, our parents have gone crazy. They've lost their freaking minds. Where are the televisions? Because they had grown up with TV and that's what they knew. And, at first we didn't know what to do as a family because, there was no television. We had to look at each other and we had to communicate with one another. That sound that the TV creates that you hear all the time, even if you're cooking or doing other things and not actually watching the TV, just that sound that kind of keeps you company, that sound wasn't there anymore, and it was just filled with a silence. And we didn't know what to do at first. And I'm so thankful that we threw it away. We eventually realized and recognized things that we could do as a family, playing games together, going places, working on our own skills and crafts, exercising, and it really helped to develop our family and to bring our family together. And my only regret is that we didn't do it earlier on. I wish we had done it earlier on. I also think it helped to develop very creative children and very smart children. Both kids are in college. One is in graduate school. Our other child is in undergraduate school. Both are straight A students. I don't know if that would have happened if we had kept the TV and kept up with our regular schedule. Many times we have the courage to limit our children's television usage. Some parents will tell the kids, no TV during the week, only television on the weekend, which is great and that's wonderful to do and that's a really good option. But oftentimes those parents that limit their children's television usage don't limit their own. They continue with their own habits with TV. So I encourage you to have the courage to either kick that thing out the door or to really limit your usage of television, to try to grow in communication and in intimacy with your family. I don't think that you're going to regret this by any means. I would love to hear from you, those of you that try it, how it worked for you. Take care and have a blessed day.